Imagine if you had an indoor NFT hydroponic system inside of your home. We all know that you can grow some veggie inside of it, but let's just think outside of the box. What else can you do with an NFT system? Let's find out. What's going on, my plant peoples? I am the ADHD gardener, where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of mental health therapy. And we're back at it with my NFT hydroponic system. That NFT system was working great. We ate all the veg that was already on here that was growing. I think I was growing some lettuce and bok choy or whatever the case may be. Working fantastic. Now, was there any drawbacks to the original plan of the NFT system? No, everything worked actually as according as it should. The only problem is, as you see here, right here, there's a third row, but it doesn't have any grow lights, okay? Frankly, my electric bill does not enjoy having all these grow lights on in my home all the time. So I did not have it on there. All I did was open the window, and that was kind of disastrous, basically. All right, it did not get enough light. It became extremely leggy and stringy. Eventually they died, or maybe I just stopped caring about them. That's a no-go. But I will put something in there when I roll this sucker outside, but that's for another video. I mean, technically, yes, I know this NFT system is about growing some veggies, but can we think outside the box a little bit for a second? Because we all know, us neurodivergents, we like to think a little outside the box. So I was saying to myself, man, what can I do with my NFT system? Then it hit me. Tomatoes! I'm back on it. I'm telling you, this winter was all about tomatoes. I'm really trying to legit get growth of tomatoes this spring and summertime. So, what if you've seen my DWC system? That is another version of hydroponics. It's a deep water culture. I've done that. I'll drop the links down below if you haven't seen that. But anyway, I was growing some tomatoes out of there. Now, that was doing really good. The tomatoes got to 4 feet high, but you're gonna get suckers. Now, if you've grown tomatoes before, you already know what's the deal with suckers. Those are the little outgrowths that come out of the stem, in between the stem and the leaves. That's where the little suckers are gonna grow. Now, typically you would cut them off and just get rid of them if you were outdoors, because it does suck up nutrients out of your main tomato plant. I said to myself, first of all, why in the world am I keeping all of these tomatoes handy? I don't know why, to be honest. I have no idea why I kept keeping all those suckers, but it worked out because, again, I needed tomatoes at all times, and especially if your plants or your experiment fails, you'll always have a backup with those suckers. So that is what leads me to propagation. And that's exactly what I did. Now, this can go for any other plant as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be tomatoes. You can probably, actually, I'm testing it out with peppers, like a little pepper cutting. And you can actually probably do this with houseplants if the stem is long enough and it does propagate through water. Now, I'm not saying that, but now that I'm saying it out loud, I think I should probably try that out. A houseplant in here? Dude, that's pretty good. Another thing I caught on camera. I'm doing pretty good. That's actually not a bad idea. I think I may try that. But for now, we are concentrating on propagation of tomato suckers. Propagation. Now, technically, this is gonna be my NFT propagation station. Now, if you are big on into plants, whether it's house plants or gardening, then you may have come across the word propagation, which is basically kind of taking off a cutting of that one, original plant, and then creating the same identical plant out of that one little piece of the original. Let's just say you got a tomato plant that is growing a sucker. Now, if you know what a sucker is, out of tomatoes, it's kind of like a little side growth of a new vine of the tomato that will keep growing. And we normally take them off because they do kind of suck up a lot of nutrients away from the main stem of that plant. Instead of normally cutting off or taking off those suckers, I let them grow pretty tall, pretty long, whatever you want to call it. I got it established enough so you knew that it was time to cut that off. What I did was I cut them off, and now it was time to put them in water, because there are 2 ways to propagate any sort of plant. Well, depends on the plant really, but when it comes to tomatoes, you have the option of growing it in the ground or growing it in water. So it just so happens that I have boatloads of cuttings of these suckers, and I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do with them? Insert the NFT system, baby. So this is what we did. We took one of those suckers, we put it inside of this NFT system. The only thing you really do have to worry about, whether it's a sucker from a tomato or it's a cutting from another houseplant or whatever it is, you have to make sure that the bottom of that cutting is going to touch the bottom of that NFT system. okay? Because remember that the water is always moving and it's only about like maybe an inch or two above from the bottom of the NFT or from the downspout. Let me know down in the comments below, what kind of things would you attempt to grow inside of this NFT system? Because man, I mean, it really has some options as to what you can really grow out of it. I like to bend the rules and push limits, okay? So I want to see, you know what, could I handle a bunch of these tomatoes indoors until it's warm enough to put them outside? I don't know, guess we'll find out. After I take out these tomato propagated suckers and pieces of my tomato plant, I'm thinking to myself, what am I gonna put inside of this as a replacement? Because I want this constantly having some sort of greens growing. So luckily, I started a few weeks ago some lettuce. So I'm just gonna replace it with a bunch of lettuce. I'm cool with that. We're trying to eat more greens, so I guess it works out. I've been growing lettuce seeds for a while, so I replaced all of these tomatoes that were up here with some nice lettuce. So they're small right now. I even put some down here too, which is gonna look really good. I know this got a little kind of messy, so eventually I will be cleaning this. I added another tomato sucker right there, and also this, I do not know if it grew some, let's see. I don't think this grew anything yet, but the plant is looking really good. It will grow, I mean, it has not grown anything yet, but considering that the plant is still doing really good, I don't really see any problems with the plant. I didn't think it was gonna grow back, but it did. It bounced back. The leaves looks a little more perky, and I'm also starting to develop some new growth right here, and the beginnings of new growth right over there. So I'm very happy, you know, that it did grow back. Oh wait, is that a root? That is a root. Sweet! This did work! My Cuban oregano did not grow any roots yet. However, it did not wilt. So it's doing pretty good. This one right here is not looking too hot. So we can always assume that this particular plant did not do well in this. Not every plant will propagate properly in water. So I don't really know. This one's not looking too hot. But the rest of them are looking great.
Several days later.
All right, so obviously this one did not work at all, or maybe did it? No, this is dead. Not every plant is going to work when it comes to propagating in water. That's all good, because I know my basil did. That bounced back like crazy, and also my pothos is still alive and is still kicking. So that was not a problem. Even my pepper bounced back. I know it's looking a hot mess right now, but it definitely has bounced back. Now, would I do this with a pepper? Probably not again, because, you know, it was kind of too slow for that. But certain things really did work. Even my Cuban oregano did really good, and it's growing strong. My scallions, as usual, did fantastic. Look how long they grew. And of course, my tomato cutting is doing fantabulous. And my lettuce as usual. I am going to put a cutting of my Rhapsodora tetrasperma, aka Mini Monstera. I know that these propagate very well in water, so I'm going to see if I put this cutting inside of it. Ideally, you want to have a node touching inside of the water. So what I'm going to do is take this leaf off. As much as I don't want to, because you're so beautiful, I need to take off that node. And it's going to be long enough so it can sit in the water. Okay, now I put my beauty in here. I don't know what possessed me to cut this one, because it has a leaf unfurling. But I know that if it's going to be doing good inside of here, the leaf will continue to unfurl. And I have good high hopes for this one, because I know this plant does propagate in water. So we shall see. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you got some good information out of it. I love thinking outside of the box, because that's just what I do on the regular. I'm not okay with just having something done one way. Why not try a bunch of different other ways to see if it works? If you did enjoy this video and you want to show me some love, then don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Also, if you haven't already, then consider subscribing. I drop a video every week and then some in between. Also, you can catch me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on there all the time. As usual, until the next episode, you guys, where you and me both are going to be growing our happiness one plant at a time, one day at a time. I'll check y'all later in the next episode. Peace and love.